Hey guys, welcome back to another Weird Wednesday. I'm Ashers, and this is.
Oh,
Oh my gosh, I almost said and also. There's not a fucking guest this
no,
week.
it's just the two of us.
It's just us. Oh,
Oh,
wow.
I know we can breathe.
I
Fucking
know.
take your pants off. There's no company around. You know what I mean? Just get comfy.
I mean, my pants were off when they were. Pat O, how was your weekend?
It was good. Um, I saw this independent movie called Halloween Ends.
Oh, yeah.
You might have heard a thing or two about it. It's a little bit of buzz right now on the internets. And took my kid to see that Friday night, and we had a blast. So I heard you saw it Friday as well. What'd you think?
Oh, God. Um, okay. So, fuck it if I spoil the first two movies in the trilogy here. If you haven't seen those, that's your fucking fault. But I'm gonna try my best not to spoil Halloween Ends, which I don't, whatever. Um, so we had this entire build up, right? This entire build up of this 40-year fucking fight, and this promise that we've gotten this entire trilogy is that we were going to bury the hatchet finally. And we got about 7 minutes of burying the hatchet. The rest of it is about some fucking guy that we've never seen before until this last movie, and it's very disappointing. That's what I think.
Yeah, I liked it, but I am not a fan of the Halloween franchise in general, which this latest trilogy kind of throws out what, like 6 7 films, because this trilogy was a direct continuation of Halloween 1, correct?
Right.
So
Yeah.
not even Halloween 2 happened. So it throws out Halloween 2, Halloween 3, which okay was the weird one-off Season of the Witch, and then 4 through 6, which was the Druid Supernatural trilogy,
Yeah.
which Paul Rudd was in the last one. Then you had H2O, which
Yeah.
has Jamie Lee Curtis's return with Josh Hartnett as her kid. It was kind of the Scream one. And then after that, I think you had the found footage one where Coolio like electrocutes his Michael Myers balls or something,
Yeah.
right?
That was connected to H2O. Yeah.
So, and they threw all those out. And
Yeah.
then you had the two Rob Zombie ones.
Yeah.
So, this trilogy already was kind of a big swing because it discounted the majority of the franchise. Like it discounted like 90% of the franchise, which to me seems like a very big swing. It seems like it could an oddball thing to do. But people were more or less okay with that because they realized that most of the Halloween sequels are pretty much garbage. And for people to get as upset as I feel like they did with this one because of the lack of focus on Michael Myers, I thought the story that it did tell, which granted is not about Michael Myers, it's about this Corey character. Um, I thought that was a good story. So for someone that has no reverence towards the Halloween franchise, I went
Sure.
into this just kind of seeing what it was. I thought it was pretty good. Like I get the concept of a bullied kid and how we kind of create our own evil in society. We create these animals by being an uncaring civilization,
Right.
and
Michael
that we
Myers is not the evil. He's a symptom of the evil, as Greg Newkirk would say.
yes, as our friends of on Hellier would say. So yeah, I mean, and that was fine, and like you know, same. I thought it was okay. I had a good time with it, and I thought the Corey stuff was done good. Um, I think I get the idea of like the troubled loner, and I like the fact that he got the girl and he had a little bit of happiness, but kind of the town kept beating him down, and I didn't hate it. I wasn't as incensed as some and I'm not saying that you're not a Halloween fan, but once again, to be a Halloween fan, I can't believe that you already weren't so upset by the fact that this current trilogy threw out like the other 9 fucking movies. Like if I was a
Well,
Halloween fan, if somebody came in and said, "Hey, guess what? We're doing another Nightmare on Elm Street, but it's a direct continuation of the first one and we're forgetting about 2 through everything else." I'd be like, "Fuck you. Those movies are awesome." You know? I'm a fan, but that's a franchise that I'm legitimately a fan of. I'm not a fan of the Halloween franchise. I think they've always been kind of cheese dick, you know. I
I
was
will be
never.
the I'll be the first person to openly admit. And I'm gonna tell you this right now. There's a lot of horror fans that will not admit this ever. I am strictly a Halloween fan because the horror community tells me that I have to be a Halloween fan. That's it. I mean, it's movies that I've grown up with. I'm not married to them at all. I'm not a purist, or I don't care about the story. It's just another slasher killing people. I don't give a shit about the reason why. It's just like gore and guts and sluts, and I like that. And that's all I need to be happy for the most part. But the problem with this was, and I get what they did. Everybody's like, oh, well, it's supposed to be not about Mike Myers like they did with Season of the Witch, and we know that because of blah 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 blah. Listen, I get it. I understand. I'm not dumb. I get the pretension to it, but that part doesn't matter. What we were promised this entire time was this big showdown between Michael and Laurie. And this is what we got. We got Halloween 2018, which was very talky, but admittedly had probably the absolute best showdown between Michael and Laurie since the original, right? Then we got movie number 2, which did not have a showdown between Michael and Laurie at all. She was in the hospital the entire fucking time. There was no showdown whatsoever. But what we did get, it was just basically like a greatest hits of like Michael Myers fucking killing people. And I love that. Like, that's all it was. That was all of Halloween Kills. And I loved it. Nobody lived. I loved that. And, but then they made like points of like things that were supposed to be like important that they never fucking talked about ever again in Halloween Ends. Cause I had just watched Halloween Kills that day, Friday, right before, I watched Ends. And, they were like, oh, well, Michael Myers, he's going home to go look outside of his sister's bedroom window because that's so important to him for whatever reason. And then, what's her name? Laurie Strode's daughter gets killed or whatever. So hold on. So Michael Myers gets beat the fuck up by a mob, and after he gets beat the fuck up, he stands up and kills everyone in the most badass way ever, and then goes and kills Karen, and then the movie ends. That's it. It's over. And then we get Halloween Ends that happens like 4 years later or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody ever explains like, well, okay, if it was so important for him to look out the window, why did he ever leave the window? How the fuck did he get so weak? But he kicked all those people's asses at the end of it after he got his ass kicked. Like, what happened? How did he just disappear? Like, what? That didn't even make any sense. And then we fucking jump cut to this whole other story of this Corey kid that nobody gives a fuck about. Had they started off the series, had they shown that beginning scene in Halloween Ends in Halloween 2018, and they just kind of touched on this Corey character a little bit throughout the trilogy, it would have been just fine. They didn't do that. They promised us this big fucking showdown between these two. We never got that. It never really delivered on that until the last 7 minutes of the movie, and then we got it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Once again, I don't want to spoil it too much, but there is a final battle, and it's a very definitive final battle, and I mean, I don't. Once again, because I didn't have great expectations for any of these, because I think these movies are they're not cool in the first place.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I never, the Michael Myers character is kind of intentionally devoid of personality. And that's supposed to be kind of his character's gimmick. And I always liked Freddy Krueger more because Freddy Krueger is a very powerful antithesis of that. He's lots of personality. He makes puns, and like he turns into giant worms and TV sets and shit. And
it doesn't make any sense, and it never has. And the franchise is okay with that.
Yeah, and it's just kind of, I don't know. Like I said, I think for people to be hardcore Halloween fans is kind of a head scratcher to me in the first place. So to see people get upset about, and I understand, like, you not liking it is different from you being like an enraged internet neckbeard. Like you didn't like it, right?
I don't. But but I don't hate it.
Yeah, and I think just seeing the kind of
reaction.
Yeah.
For
that. And then I had in my notes I wanted to talk about it, but I know we kind of talked about it last week before we had Alan Greenfield on, but the new Hellraiser movie too.
Yeah.
That is that's like the other seasonal franchise reboot or whatever that came back. And that I thought was just kind of okay. I watched that.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that last weekend and it wasn't nearly horny enough for me.
No, it's same. Yeah, it wasn't sexy enough. Well, and you know, some people I put that on social media. Some people got what I meant by sexy, and some people were like, "What? It's supposed to be sexual?" And it's like, no, that's not. Hellraiser's about deviancy. It's about hedonism. It's about
Yes.
and there just wasn't enough of that.
No, no, there wasn't. But speaking of degeneracy, violence, and uh, I'm just gonna segue into talk about my movie real quick, and I kind of fell off the rails there. Recipe for Oblivion, the movie that I did for the 48-hour film project, got picked up by Troma Now. So I made that announcement, I think, on Instagram, but I didn't do it on Twitter or anywhere else. So I wanted to use this real quick to fucking brag about that. So it's officially a Troma movie. Fuck you if you don't like it. I won. It's a Troma movie. This is my third flirtation with Troma. Space Werewolf was at Troma Dance 2015. A short I did, Don't Pull Out, was part of the Grindsploitation anthology, which is also available on Troma Now. Plus, you could buy the Blu-ray, but I don't see any money off that. However, Recipe for Oblivion will be available on Troma Now, and I do get some cash every time you watch that. So please leave it on repeat in your house. Wait for your dogs when you go to work.
I'm going to tell you something. Besides you and I, nobody on this entire planet deserves as much gratitude and support and love as Lloyd Kaufman.
I completely agree.
That man is a fucking national treasure, and we just absolutely. I mean, he's up there with Steve Irwin and fucking the guy that paints and shit, whatever his name is, Bob Ross.
Bob Ross.
He's right up there, Mr. Rogers. Lloyd Kaufman is the Mr. Rogers of shitty movies. And I'm just gonna be honest with you. If you don't already subscribe to Troma Now, I mean, you're just missing out. I mean, there's a lot of trash, but there's some fucking awesome films on there that you would have never known existed unless you sub to it. Obviously you can watch Pato's movie, but
now there's even more trash on it.
I will call out Video Vixens is one of my favorite movies of all time. Have you ever seen it, Pat?
No, I have not.
Ooh, it's so good.
It sounds like there's cities in it though.
There is. It's about like the porn awards being televised on broadcast television and how people are like pissed off about it. It's great. It's really good. Just watch it. Video Vixens.
Okay.
It's good. Subscribe to Troma Now. Watch Pato's movie. Watch Video Vixens, and of course, Toxic Avenger. It's on there. Go watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's tops. Everybody knows that one. Go watch that one.
And if you're a Patreon member, you don't have to wait until it premieres on Troma Now. It's also on the Patreon Discord server.
There you go.
Put it up there for the time being. And there's going to be, I will say this, and I think it's November 5th. I haven't gotten final confirmation yet, but it is being screened as part of the Blue Island Film Festival. And when we get closer to that, I'm going to heavily pimp that out. I'm telling you people in advance, clear your schedule, put it on your calendar, November 5th, Blue Island Film Festival at the Lyric Theater. I would really, really, really like for people to come out. I almost fucking died last year, people, and I didn't. And for whatever reason, I survived, and I have to believe that I survived to make this fucking shitty, terrible little movie. And if you want to come out, this is the story I was born to tell. And it's going to be premiering at the Lyric Theater. So that's, first time it'll ever be screened to public. Not necessarily the last time, but after that, it'll just be on Troma Now. So please come out to this. There's audience award that you can vote. So I want to pack the audience with my people so they all vote for me. Because I want that fucking award just like I wanted to be on Troma Now, and it was. And if you haven't noticed, I get what I fucking want. So please come out to this November 5th, Lyric Theater in Blue Island, Illinois. And I'll give more details as it gets closer.
Sure.
But it'll be a good time. We'll go to the Lyric Theater and we'll watch the movie, and then we'll go somewhere in the area and get shit faced. And
yeah, I'll tell you, if you're a regular long-time listener to the show and you're in on the jokes, you will definitely be in on the joke for Recipe for Oblivion. So
it's good.
It's good. Yeah, it's good stuff.
What else? Oh, I went shotgunning too. Shotgun. Yeah, I've never fired a shotgun before. It's real.
Oh, okay, I understand.
It's very sexual. It's like a Hellraiser movie. It's like it hurts, but it's good when it slams up against you. I was all bruised and shit.
Ooh.
Yeah, I really liked it. It left me a little bit battered, but in a good way. like a piece of fucking catfish. I'm liking it. So I don't know. I did that last week too. That was a lot of fun.
When you were saying shotgunning, I was thinking of like when you're like smoking pot. and then
Oh
like
yeah,
you
we
blow
call
it
that
to like
cannonball. Cannonball coming.
cannonball. We call it shotgunning. I haven't done that in a long time. I'm gonna do that at my Halloween party this year.
We should. I'm trying to maybe.
Shotgun.
I don't have anything going on that weekend. I would really like to just show up at that fucking party
That would
because I
be a
know where
good
you
show.
live, so
That'd be
it's like just go to your
sounds
house.
so menacing.
I do.
It's true. You do know where I live. Well, come to
And
the
a,
Halloween party, Pato.
and apparently all these people, all of our fans, would send you shit too.
Yep.
Just giving out your address all willy nilly.
Yeah, I do. I just give it out. If you're sending me something, I'll give you my address.
Yeah, I'll tell you where I live. Just come find me.
Sure will. Yeah, you should come to the Halloween party, and then we'll have lots to talk about that week. Anyway, was that all? Was that all you did this week?
That's all I got to talk about. Yeah.
Shotgunning. I'll talk about the movie front for a moment. I mean, I know we just talked about those two movies. Very disappointing stuff that's been going on, but there's been so much shit coming out lately. I mean, my God, what did I watch not too long ago that was great? Oh, The Monsters. I love The Monsters. I loved it.
I haven't seen that yet, but I was trying to get my family to watch it on Saturday night. We watched Beast instead, but I do want to check that out. I'm glad you like it because I feel like everything people are saying that's negative about it doesn't sound negative to me.
It doesn't make any sense. If you were actually a fan of the original Monsters, then you'll like the movie. The only people that don't like it, you're a fucking liar when you say that you like the show. I'm just going to tell you right now, you fucking lie and you act like you're cool and edgy that you used to watch the Monsters. No, the fuck you did not, because there's no reason why you wouldn't like this movie. None. You know, no, you can't have Fred Gwynn in it. Sorry, he's dead. You know? Sorry. But for what it is, it's exactly like the fucking show. It's perfect in the way it is. I can't say enough good about it. And I don't like Rob Zombie movies. So there's that.
I don't. I think a lot of them are kind of nonsense. But he's made some good choices in it. Like he's got good parts. You know what I mean? I think he's a competent enough director. I would like to see him direct something that someone else writes, I guess.
Well, I liked the Firefly trilogy, and of the Firefly trilogy, my favorite is House of a Thousand Corpses, that a lot of people don't like. I liked it. I like that it's fucking. It reminds me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is my favorite of all those classic horror movies. It's fucking Leatherface, right? That's my slasher. You know, I liked House of a Thousand Corpses. I liked how fucking goofy and weird and off the wall and fucking strange it is. I like it. Doesn't make any sense. You know, and I liked each movie individually for what they were. I like seeing more of that family. You know. But I didn't like his other shit. It was bad. Didn't like his Halloween movie. Didn't like fucking Lords of Salem or whatever.
Yeah, that was kind of garbage. Yeah,
right. I didn't like that shit. You know, but his original trilogy, I liked it. Then he came out with the Monsters. It's not Rob Zombie, blood, guts, and gore. And yeah, it's his wife again. Who cares? He loves her so much. He wants to know it. Who cares?
I love that. I honestly do. I think if you're not a romantic at heart, of course you should think the woman that you're married to is the most beautiful woman in the world. Why the fuck else would you marry her?
Yeah, and he does, clearly.
Fucking hint for the kids. Here's a little lesson from your old friend Pedo. Don't marry ugly bitches. Right? It's not gonna work. If she's not the hottest, she's not the most beautiful girl in the world, which you can't marry the most beautiful girl because I already did that. But if you're not, I will say this: most beautiful women in the world tend to be a little high maintenance. So maybe go for like the 4th or 5th most beautiful girl in the world, because that's probably the amount of. Think about what kind of grades you got in high school. Do you really want to put the effort in? Were you a C student? Were you an A student? Think about that before you decide who you're going to marry.
I mean, shot to what your wallet can allow, but
I definitely I do like that dynamic between him and Sherry Moon. I think it's very romantic and I love it. I do. People hate on it, but fuck you. You don't know love.
No, she did a fine job as Lily Munster. I get what people were saying. She's kind of ditzy and dumb. Well, we didn't really see that much. That's the thing, you guys. You got to understand. You are trying to take characters from an entire TV series and put them into an hour and a half long movie. Right? So no, you're not going to see every single side of this character unless he makes more. And then if he makes more, then let's give him the chance to do that. I'd love to see more of it. I would.
Yeah.
You know. And so I think it's the perfect Halloween movie. It's family friendly. Definitely check it out. That was good. I'm excited, and I know I talked about it recently on the show because I just watched it for the first time. I'm excited to see Terrifier 2.
You know, okay, so Daniel Thorndike of the Blue Room Podcast and Y2K Movies, he's been talking about that for a while. I don't know anything about this. Like, now I do because I'm being beat over the head with it on Twitter every time I go on.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
I didn't watch the first one. I didn't watch the anthology that it came from. I wanna kinda see the second one because 'cause they're saying, "Oh, people leave the theater and or they're throwing up all over
Yeah.
the place." It's how I wanna know from somebody that saw it, what the fuck is in there that's so crazy that's got people throwing up in the theater? Because 'Cause I've seen some fucking heinous shit in my life.
It's got
Like,
something to do with penis mutilation, I know that much.
oh, that's nothing. That's the thing.
I know, I
Is it
agree.
rapey? Is there something? Is it like, are we
Yeah.
talking about like Megan is Missing or Serbian film stuff here? Or is
No.
this just like really gross, like splattery? Because splattery stuff I laugh at. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. And the Terrifier was gory, but it wasn't. I've seen way worse. Now, and I talked about this because, like I said, I just watched Terrifier for the first time because art has now become like one of the classics, right? Art's everywhere.
Mm.
You go to a horror convention, there's like 50 people dressed up as Art the Clown, and then probably also Art the Clown himself is there, But, um, so I wanted to watch it. I checked it out. It was okay. It was all right. I didn't think it was that great, but I didn't realize that it came from an anthology series, so I wanted to check that out. Man, that's fucking that's a crazy movie right there. I don't know if I like it. I still haven't really decided if I like it, but with Hellraiser and Halloween Ends, and I've been watching the Chucky series too. There's just been so much shit that my expectations are so low, and I've heard nothing but good things about Terrifier 2. I am ready for it. I need this.
I really liked the Chucky series. And I haven't seen the second one, but I watched the first one. And there's a scene in the first one where Chucky's talking to the kid who's queer. And he goes, "Oh, my kid was gay." And the kid goes, "Did you accept him?" And Chucky goes, "Just because I'm a serial killer doesn't mean I'm a monster," or something
Yeah.
like that. And I almost wanted to fucking cry. And I think that is like the Chucky series, and I haven't seen the second season, but that first season got by on so much just like LGBTQ love. Like it's such a weird thing to put in there, but it was. And it's Chucky. But like even like his daughter playing himself, like Stephen Dorff's daughter
Yes.
playing him in the flashback, um was like they just made so many right choices with that
Wait,
series.
hold on. Wait, what? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so when they finally introduce Tiffany, played by Jennifer Tilly, who of course is I'm a huge fan of, if you couldn't fucking imagine that already. They show when Jennifer Tilly and Charles Lee Ray met, or when Tiffany and Chucky met, like how their relationship started, right? And they flash back to them when they were both younger. And there's some blonde playing Tiffany, right? And Stephen Dorff's daughter,
Brad Dourif.
I'm sorry, Brad Dourif's daughter is playing him with sunglasses, a wig on, and they dub her voice with Brad Dourif's voice, but it's her. And his daughter is also the chick in the wheelchair from the Cult of
Yeah, I
Chucky
knew
movie.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she plays two roles in that.
I didn't know
And
she played him also.
yes, that I thought was so cool too, that they did like a trans Charles Lee Ray.
She's got that laugh down, let me tell you. Like
No, no,
nobody's
no, it was his voice. She didn't
No,
use her own voice.
but she does in the show because she's also Chucky.
Yeah, I get you, because he possessed her or whatever. They did that
Right.
whole.
And
Yeah,
then
I got you.
she's on point. It's just that it's now it's her voice, but that is Chucky's personality coming out.
I like her because
It's
she's like a
crazy.
she's like a fairly, like, she's been in a lot of stuff, and she does nudity, and like I think that's dope as fuck. I think that's like, I remember back in the 80s and 90s, actresses would show their tits in movies, and it was without a bat of an eye. It was okay. It was respectable. You weren't going to be blacklisted because you showed your tits in a film, and she's done that before. I think in one of the Chucky movies. Um, And
Good
I know
on
that
you.
that might seem like a really shallow reason to like an actress, but I think it shows
I
like
like her boobs.
well, no, I think it shows confidence and like vulnerability and like you're owning it. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll show my tits. All right, no big deal. You
She
know.
is her father's mini me, and I love that, and she's fucking killing that role. I agree with that. Now the second season isn't terrible. It's just that I don't know, man. Listen, I was in the car the other day, and this is all I'm saying about it. But I was in the car the other day, and I listened to morning radio when I dropped my daughter off. Okay, I am a big Elvis Duran fan, believe it or not, and so there's a commercial. Okay, and I swear to God, I swear to fucking God, it's a commercial for Chucky, and the way that they're advertising it is like it's a fun, goofy sitcom. I fucking shit you not. I don't remember what it was that they said, but they said some bullshit line. They're like, watch Chucky every Wednesday on blah blah blah. He's gonna chuck you up or some dumb shit. They like I swear fucking replace fuck with Chuck. I don't remember what it was. I don't know. You can go chuck off or I don't know what they said, but that's what it
With like the
was.
canned laughter laugh track.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, yeah, it was fucking ridiculous. And I'm like, what world is this? That's a fucking what is this? What is happening? I didn't understand. And like I said, I like the second season. So far. It's just weird. It's just odd. I guess I just never thought Chucky would go down this route. I don't know. But I like it. But Chucky himself like doesn't exist now because he's like in the body of like 100 dolls at one time, and that's weird. I don't
so
like
le-
that.
I got one question, one spoiler question that I want to ask, and that's it. Is Devon Sawa in the second season?
Yes.
Is it another brother, or is it like a flashback, or how did they put Devon Sawa in the second
He's
season?
just a completely different character. He's just a completely different
I love that
and
so
they kind of like make like the kids like the main kid, he's like, "Oh, he kind of reminds me of my dad."
Oh God.
Well, yeah, he is.
Oh,
Of course he
I'll
is.
have to start watching that now. God damn it! I
That's all
fell
right.
behind on Game of Thrones. I'm like, I do so bad with watching TV shows. Movies, I can sit down, I can hammer out an hour and a half, 2 hours to watch something. TV shows, I just fall behind on,
Yeah,
and
I understand.
but I will give that because it was so cheesy and tongue in cheek, but also like I said, so like queer friendly, which I don't know why. Not that that's terribly important. I mean, I think it's
It's
important in
very important.
general, but I like that. I like that. Like they're
Chucky
like,
became like the pioneer for the queers when Seed of Chucky came out.
yeah. Well, John Waters was in. I don't know
Seed of
if it
Chucky.
was Seed or Bride, but yeah,
He was in Seed.
Seed.
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
made it so gay. That's what made it.
Oh, he's got another movie coming out.
Does he?
Yeah, his first in like 20 years, 15 years or something.
I didn't know that. I love
Yeah.
John Waters.
I guess he wrote a book, and it's based on the book that he wrote, which I didn't know he wrote a book,
I
so I
didn't
got to
know that
read.
either.
Yeah.
I need to catch up on my John Waters. Anyway, this is not a show about media, but we haven't
No.
had a chance to catch up on the things that we've been doing because we've had so many wonderful guests on the show.
Yeah, that's one way
Um,
to put it.
yeah, you know. Oh, don't say that. We've had great guests on the show.
Yes, we
Uh,
have. We have a wonderful guest on the show.
it's been fantastic, and we still have another guest coming up. I think next week or something, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Anyway, let's talk about some news, huh?
Sure, let's do it.
Sure. So, I sent Pato this video of a UFO somewhere in Mexico, the largest volcano in Mexico. I'm not going to try to pronounce it because I'm white.
Papo Quetzalcoatl.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, something.
Somewhere in Mexico. It's a big ass volcano in Mexico. It's a UFO flying into this volcano, allegedly.
Yeah.
Something's going into the volcano. You definitely see something. Pat, what do you think about that one?
So here's what's crazy. I looked that up, and I found another video from December 10th, 2021 of something from a different angle going into the same volcano.
Yeah, it's been
So
happening
that
a
is,
lot.
yeah, that's definitely a hot spot. So the video that you showed was very clear. They have like a camera on that volcano because it's an active volcano, and it spouts shit off here and there. So there's like cameras that are set up for geological reasons, and they have a tendency to catch stuff from. Oh my god! Can you? Hopefully you didn't hear that.
I did hear it.
Oh well. So yeah, it was super interesting. I think that's definitely one of those hot spots. And in one of the articles that I read, supposedly there's been sightings by the locals of 7-foot tall hairy beings with huge spikes on their heels seen climbing up the volcano side without any mountain climbing equipment.
Huh. I did not hear about that.
Yeah, so that's it's one of the seventh most active hotspots in the world for UFO activity.
Yeah, a lot of people. There's this guy that he's kind of made it his job to sit and watch this camera. They call those people anomaly hunters. I don't. You know what? That's a glorified term for a guy that sits at his computer all day long looking for things to happen on cameras. There's people that do it for Mars. There's people that do it for Loch Ness. Um, that's what they are.
Yeah.
But he's the one that caught this one. Maybe nobody would have had he not had eyes on it. Okay, I guess everybody does their job. Anyway, but he's caught several anomalies at this volcano, and probably that other video that you saw most likely came from him, or I would assume because he's been doing it for a while. He's got a theory that there's a secret base inside of the volcano, which isn't unheard of. We've heard similar theories before.
Sure. I mean, it would. Why would you fly into the volcano?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of interesting. And it says that like the area, like they're not flying into the top of it, like the mouth. There's a vent on the side of it that they know of. Because I mean, like this volcano's been there. Like you can fly around in the daytime and take pictures of it. They know the geographic layout of it. Um, but yeah, it's like it's interesting because you don't think there's like a warp portal in there, but are they going into the lava and then using the lava to go into Earth? Like it's kind of a head scratcher.
So just like Art Bell and his Area 51 caller, we were taken off the air for I guess we're talking about the topic tonight. I don't know, Pato, what's your thoughts on that?
I think that we may have stumbled across what might be the most explosive story in mankind's history because we have never had this happen to the extent that it does. We've had technical squabbles here and there, but like nothing like this, nothing like not like what happened when we originally tried to record this part of this week's episode. And I don't know, maybe there's more to the Spring Hill Jack story than we thought, because if they didn't take us offline for Ellen Greenfield and they didn't take us offline for all the alien stuff or disclosure stuff or my stories or any of the guests we've had on, what is it about Spring Hill Jack that made the CIA hit the kill switch? Only Jeremiah Byron knows for sure, but something, man. We touched it. You
Yeah.
ever see the movie
And he won't
Conspiracy
tell us.
Theory with like Mel Gibson, where he's a conspiracy theorist and they're after him because he believes all this crazy shit, but one of them is true. He doesn't know what the one is, and
Oh.
Patrick Stewart and his cabal are after him, trying to kill him. And actually, I think they kind of like halfway reveal that it has something to do with DARPA, um, like the earthquake satellite weaponry or something. But I don't know. Spring Hill Jack, who knows? Maybe he
I
was
haven't seen that movie. My psychology teacher showed us like a clip from it because he was suffering from paranoia and psychosis. So so
It's a,
she showed us a clip from it. Was like, well, this was that thing. I don't even remember what it was we were specifically talking about. Anyway,
look at this movie Mel Gibson made about me.
right. Yeah. um well, so it's the next day.
Time jump.
We
Just
recorded the intro. We recorded the entire episode yesterday, and something happened, and it did the intro, but completely wiped out all of the Spring Hill Jack. Now here is what's odd is it Spring Hill Jack? Well, probably not, but what we were talking about when the audio cut off
I know.
was giants.
Yes. Which I didn't want to bring up because I don't want the audio to get cut off again, because I would like to be done with this week's episode. I can only talk about Spring Hill Jack so fucking much. All right. So
Yeah.
I was appeasing our reptilian masters by acting like I thought that we were taken off the air because of Spring Hill
Oh,
Jack, and not because we were talking about giants and you were
I don't
decrying
know. Yeah, I don't
fucking,
know how much I'm
you
gonna.
were denouncing God and everything.
I
Like I didn't
was,
want to
yeah.
re-invoke that stuff. We're just
I'm going to preface this with I don't know how much of that conversation, I haven't edited the episode yet, so I don't know how much of that conversation you guys actually heard, if any at all. Maybe you heard nothing about giants up till this point. We'll see. It depends on
How
where it
about
cut off.
how about we make it a point to cut that out just to appease the
So nobody will
fucking
ever
the
know what we actually
draconians?
said.
Yes, just so that we're going to say this up front. We will go back and we will when you edit these two portions together,
Giants is gone.
it's gone, and we just don't, and we don't do the giant episode. Like, we
Sounds
just
good to me.
put that one to bed, and that way we continue on with our weekly podcast. We get to have Miss Heather Mosier on next week. We get to do our Halloween episode or whatever after that. Like,
Giants is not our business.
no, just it's a bunch of fooey, and if you believe in that shit, then I got a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn.
Sounds good. Anyway, Spring Hill Jack. That's what you guys are here for,
Yes.
right?
Right? All right, let's get to the real mysteries. Let's fucking
Jesus. I
peek
have
behind the curtain of
say-
reality and talk about Spring Hill Jack.
I have to do that all over again. Okay, Spring Hill Jack. Who the fuck was Spring Hill Jack? So in 1837, a woman was attacked by some guy, right? And this kind of kicked off this string of events for people in the England area. We don't really talk about things. What do they say? Across the pond?
Across the pond, yes.
Across the pond, yeah. But so this is interesting. So a woman was attacked in 1837 by like I said, some guy. Most descriptions of Spring Hill Jack are that he wears this like white suit that it's so tight it like looks like an extra skin. He wears a cape. He has sometimes like a helmet on or like a hat or like a mask or something. And he's got clawed hands, which may or may not be gloves. So anyway, I'm trying to pick the flare back up. Man, that episode was so good, and you guys will never hear it now. But
Well, you can hear my side of it.
yeah,
We'll release that on the Patreon, the pedo only audio track. Just hear me laughing and talking to myself, which is what it's like living with me. You know
well,
what
that's
I mean?
right, right, exactly.
You get to hear what the podcast sounds like to my dogs when I'm recording it.
Yeah, we've never had to do a whole re-record like this. This is so interesting. Anyway, so people started talking around the England area, talking about the Spring Hill Jack character, and things really picked up steam when there were two back-to-back encounters in 1838. Both women, both reporting very similar things. One woman was attacked in the street by this character. He blue and red fire, and tried to rip her clothes off. And then the other woman was at home when there was like a commotion at her door. He could have been impersonating some type of authority figure, like a police officer, saying that, "Oh, we caught Spring Hill Jack. We need help." She opened up the door, and surprise, it's Spring Hill Jack. Which, of course, he tried to rip at her clothes, and she fought him off. Oh, that's right. My quote. Can I read my quote still?
Yes.
Will the joke still land? Of course it will. So I read a couple of different anecdotes of these two attacks because they did really kick off the Spring Hill Jack events. But I wanted to read off this very particular quote. It says, Lucy Scales, a butcher's daughter, was attacked in Limehouse, and Jane Alsop was almost strangled by a cloaked creature in her own home before her family managed to beat off her attacker. At which point he left and soared off into the darkness. So the joke was that, funny, you should beat off Spring Hill Jack in order to avoid being further accosted by him.
That's how you get rid of me. Right?
That's all he's looking for.
Handy.
Just a good handy, right? I mean, it's that simple. So yeah, they beat him off, and he was satisfied, so he leapt off into the night, cackling like a madman, like every good boy does after he's done being beat off.
Yeah.
So anyway, sightings then continued. Various people, most of the time, typically at that point, he was attacking people in the street. And then there was like a lull in sightings for a while. He kind of seemed to disappeared. And then he reemerged again. Now, this time when he reemerged, some people described him as looking like a bear or wearing fur.
Right.
But mostly what he was doing at that time was still attacking people in the street, but attacking their carriages. So he would, people would be driving by and he would jump out at them, jump on the top of it, whatever. They'd crash and then he'd leave, I guess. But then there was also like a stint where he was allegedly terrorizing the military for a time.
Hmm.
They claim to have seen him multiple times, even shooting at him at one point, which, he was unaffected by the bullets and he went hopping off into the night. So, Pat O.
Right. Well,
Spring Hill Jack.
yeah. So, like you said, started in London in 1837. The last reported sighting was 1904 in Liverpool. So that's a span of 97 years. And what's interesting is that the descriptions of Spring Heel Jack, using air quotes for that one, vary pretty wildly to where, in retrospect, it's almost it's interesting that you would even kind of consider them to be the same entity because the descriptions do vary so much.
Yeah.
And so it's likely that Spring Heel Jack became kind of a catch-all for anomalous behavior in London at this time, right? I think that, when you look at the span of time, 97 years, obviously that's not going to be one person. That's going to be
Well, so hold on. So it's 66 years.
from
1838 to 1904.
is it? Oh yeah, 7, and then you'd be at 64 years. Well, how the fuck did I screw up the math that bad?
I don't know.
I don't know, man. That's crazy. That's the crazy. I am like Rain Man when it comes to math. That to me is the nuttiest part of all of this.
You just
Is
kept
that
saying it yesterday, and I'm just like, wait a minute. I was like, hold on, and then I just double checked it. I got
you
66.
out math Pat O.
I don't know
That
how you got.
is
I don't know
fucking
how you got
nuts.
64.
Well, maybe that's why. Maybe that was the good Lord Jesus
I don't know
fucking
how you got 97. I don't know where the fuck that
erasing
came
my
from.
bad math before it went down in podcast infamy.
Pat O's just throwing out numbers. Oh, I think that was about this many years.
Still 64 years. I mean, that is at least
Point
two
still stands.
different. Yeah, that's at least two different people. And as far as who those people were, what we found out yesterday, I schooled Ashes on this one because she didn't know about it.
I did not.
Is there's actually a very specific individual that the original sightings were attributed to. His name is Henry de la Poer Brasford, the Marquis of Waterford, who was an Irish nobleman that was known to get drunk and fuck about in London in the 1830s. He was frequently arrested for drunken brawling, brutal jokes, and vandalism. He was the originator of the expression paint the town red when him and his buddies got drunk one night, tore ass through London, were destroying property, knocking over plants, ripping down signs, and painting random doors red. So it kind of became the expression, oh, they really painted the town red last night. And I'm sure.
That's neat. I did not know that.
Yeah. So he's the one. There was some kind of incident between him and a woman and a cop. And they think that he started this Spring Heel Jack stuff as just like a prank that he was pulling. And that would make sense for a certain period of time. He ended up dying in the 1950s. So he died in 1859. But at that point, there could have been copycats. And that's something that we know from, like, when we talk about the Mad Gasser of Mantoon, or there was another, like, crazy gas person that was operating out of Virginia that Mystic Novelty Country, William B. Van Huss, had written a book about. And these kind of phenomenon usually start with legitimate stuff, but then kind of mass hysteria snowballs and takes in at some point. I did want to bring up one other person, though, that was arrested for this, and it's because it's kind of it's an interesting anecdote. Hold on. So you had mentioned that somebody had dressed up like a bear, or that he was described as looking like a
Yeah,
bear.
wearing fur, right?
Yeah. So, uh, in July of 1847, a Springfield Jack investigation led to a man named Captain Finch getting arrested. He was convicted of assaulting two women while wearing a skin coat which looked like a bullock's hide with a skull cap, horns, and a mask. So that could be where the bear thing comes from. And then also there was another guy, Thomas Milbank, that was arrested and tried at Lambeth Street Court because he admitted he was Spring Heel Jack. The only reason he was not convicted was because he admitted to not being able to spit fire, which Jane Aslop claimed her attacker was able to do.
Yeah,
So imagine that.
which is ridiculous.
Which is so interesting too, not to make this about like gender inequality, but think about like how the witches had to like you had to drown a woman to prove she wasn't a witch,
Right.
right? For a guy, it's like, are you Spring Heel Jack? Yes, I am. Well, breathe fire. No, all right, you're not Spring Heel Jack. Like,
Yeah.
whoa, that's a wildly uneven like.
It's really ridiculous. That's, he's like, but he's like, but I am though. Like that was me, and they're like, nope, nope, didn't happen.
I don't see you breathing fire in between
They-
words.
They can't.
So
I,
you
I
must
don't
not.
know. I guess they could have just.
Meanwhile, this
easily-
chick over here can read, so let's like impale and burn her alive.
Fucking
Man, things
heathen.
are fucked up. You think you got it bad now, Ashers? At least you gotta look on the bright side. Always look on the bright side of life. You know,
At least I'm legally allowed to be a dumb bitch. All I want. Is
at least you can read and drive. You choose not to. You choose not to drive, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's not like you get like pulled out of your car and beat the shit out of in the middle of the street for
That's
it.
true. That's a good
You
point.
know?
That is really weird. And I'm curious, like what happened to that guy the rest of his life after that? Like we don't really we don't know. I mean, did he continue to like maintain that he was Spring Hill Jack, and he's just like, I don't know, they fucking let me go because I couldn't breathe fire. I mean, that's
Maybe
Makes one of-
he realized this is probably something I'm better off getting away with. You know. All right, I'm just gonna let this one go.
I mean, that is really ridiculous because it wasn't like he was like, no, that's not me. I don't breathe fire. Like that's, anyway, yeah, that's.
Right.
So I mean, there have been a couple, and not just that. There have been other authority figures and things like that. That would say that like, the Spring Hill Jack was like groups of vagrants going around terrorizing people, like gangs or whatever. Which I don't know, could have been the case. A lot of people, I get a lot. People ask me a lot of questions about Spring Hill Jack because there's this weird misconception that Spring Hill Jack and the Mothman are the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I
And-
can't act surprised to hear that as I was yesterday when
Oh.
you said that for the first time.
You
I-
don't say.
I don't have the spoons for it today, Ashers. I'm sorry. But yeah, I know when you told me that yesterday, I was like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. Sorry you didn't hear the genuine reaction.
yeah.
But yes, but there are people. Well, people listening to the show weren't surprised by that, I'm sure, because that's something that I'm hit with a lot. People are like, oh, what do you think about Spring Hill Jack? And I did start like digging into it, of course. Mothman lead, cool. But I don't, okay. So Spring Hill Jack had these also allegedly glowing red eyes. Okay. So the only supernatural elements of this man seem to be that he had glowing red eyes, that he was impervious to bullets, and that he could jump like 20 feet in the air. Okay. So a couple of things that we had talked about yesterday, we'll talk about again today. So the Mothman connection again. I don't think that it's there. First of all, he could talk and, would frequently talk to people and laugh and made noise. Mothman doesn't seem to do that, at least so
Mhm.
far. There's like one report, I didn't mention this. There is one report that allegedly the Mothman talked to a young child and told him about 9/11. But of course, that story is up for debate. I don't know if that, we can't verify it, of course, but who knows? The guy didn't actually come out with that until after 9/11 happened, so I don't know. But in all other Mothman encounters, Mothman, yes, he's a humanoid. He's human shaped. And while there were people that did say that he looked like Batman, that's where the Mothman name comes from, is because people described him as looking like Batman. Spring Hill Jack also looks very much like Batman.
Yeah, if you look at the early like newspaper drawings, renditions, it looks like early Batman
Yeah.
cartoons. To where I don't think it was necessarily the London newspaper artists prophesizing the future as much as Batman was definitely influenced by the Spring Hill Jack drawings with the cape and the pointy ears. Anyone that's seen like really like ancient Batman drawings, like the first couple, you know what I'm talking about. Where it's not the Batman that we know now. Oh.
Right. And well, when I listened to Ken Gerhard talk at the Mothman Festival, he had started talking about the supernatural connection between like Bigfoot and UFOs and whatever, spectral Bigfoot or whatever the hell Bigfoot name you want to call that thing. Which there are. There are allegedly reports of Bigfoot that, again, are mixed with UFO sightings. There are reports of Bigfoot that just fucking straight up disappears, which leads some people to believe that this is not a flesh and blood creature. This is something supernatural or, beyond. And, but Ken said something. While yes, there are reports like that, the majority of Sasquatch reports are that this is some type of North American primate. And I'm going to stick to that. Again, while Spring Hill Jack and Mothman could have some slight similarities on certain aspects, that is the exception. That's not the rule, right? To what we're looking at with Mothman characteristics. And not to mention, my own personal opinion about Spring Hill Jack was that this was just some fucking guy a couple of times, a couple of different fucking guys beaten off or whatever. Like this, it wasn't some supernatural entity.
Yeah,
And
I don't even think the people that were that connected. I think the press and the people that were the witnesses made the connection because they don't even to describe the descriptions they give don't even like correlate. You know what I mean?
they're also different, right?
Yeah, and the you got to remember like the kind of time it was. Like they didn't have TV back then, right? And like there
Or
wasn't a whole lot
anything,
to
right?
do and electricity. So like when the at nighttime, like when the sun went down, you couldn't really see anything. There was no Legos. It was just like fucking. It was a
There's
shitty
no
time to be
Lego.
alive. you know, yeah, everything had coal dust on it, and the books all sucked. Like it was no. Wasn't anything fun to do. There was a lot of sexual repression, and what else would you do but dress up like a fucking monster and try to rip chicks' clothes off, and then
Right. Well,
it seems like something that like nutters would do. And one of the things we talked about yesterday when we tried to do this show before was that there's people and
oh yeah.
if you live in a semi decent sized city, there's probably some local nutball that walks around downtown dressed up like a superhero.
Yeah.
We have the Chicago Spider-Man, who's a dresses up like Miles Morales and just kind of hangs out at L stations and poses for pictures. But there was that guy in New York that used to climb office buildings dressed as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
There was some guy when I worked in Rogers Park in Chicago. There was this guy that was right before the election where they booted Trump out. He was dressed up like Batman and handing out like anti-Trump literature, and clearly not right in the head, but like what's to stop you from doing it? That's the thing, is that most people, we don't do that. We're like, oh, I'm not going to go out dressed up necessarily. But there's people that do that. Sometimes, I mean, there's people that do drag. There's people that do burlesque. There's people that put on elaborate costumes to go clubbing and shit. And there's some people that I guess back then, having limited options, would put on weird shit and run around
Sometimes just
fucking
my own
London.
wardrobe. Like I go out and I think people assume that like I'm like dressed up and I'm not. I'm just these are my clothes. you know.
Well, people think
Um
you're trans all the time too. You were
they
saying.
do. They do think that, yeah.
There's something about you that just I want to suck her dick.
Apparently, people want to suck my dick. Oh, well, I
It-
guess you know what? That's the perspective I didn't put it into before. Was that
you
obviously
do
I
have
have big dick energy.
it's partly your voice and partly your mascara. I think your eyeshadow. You have the eyeshadow of a
Okay.
well-hung individual.
Of a well-hung individual. Oh, good. At least my dick is massive. Yeah, for some reason, there's people that think I'm a trans woman. I'm not. I pushed a child out of my vagina.
Yeah, I've seen the
Um,
kid. I haven't seen the vagina, but I've seen the kid.
yeah,
I'll
she's
vouch
very.
for that part of it. Unless that's your roommate.
It is. Yeah, it is. Yeah. I just stole a child. I was like, this is mine. You know, I had to be passing somehow, I guess. I don't know.
That's a hell of a beard you got there.
I don't know where. Yeah, I don't know where the confusion came from. But I will, for the record, say that I am a very much natural born woman. Not that I have anything wrong with trans people. If you guys have listened to the show for long enough, you know that one of the co-hosts was a trans woman. It just wasn't me. So, I don't know. I don't know if that's where it came from. I have no idea. Anyway, um, back to weird people dressing up in weird clothes. Yeah, we have a guy, who dresses up as Batman and Superman, and I think he also dresses up as roller skating Elvis. But I haven't verified yet if that's him. Anyway, he just hangs out wherever. I've taken pictures of him standing on the street corner waving at people just because. Yeah. People do that. People do that now. So why the fuck wouldn't they do that back in the day?
Sure. That oppressive of a society where you would need to, especially if you were a little bit off or you're a little bit of a deviant anyway, you needed to kind of like break free and go do some weird, crazy shit, and that's what you're going to do is put together this elaborate monster costume and just fucking hop out of alleys of people.
Why not? Well, and we were kind of talking about where like his motives seem to have changed compared to his first half compared to his back half. So like personally, I think his first half, this first string, that was one person, okay? And I think he
Sure.
was a serial rapist. And I'm sticking by that. That's what I think.
Yeah, there's definitely there's an element of sexual assault there.
Well, there is.
It's
He's ripping off women's
undeniable.
clothes. I mean, although we don't have any like confirmed reports of like, yeah, Spring Hill Jack raped somebody. That doesn't mean it didn't happen, and it just didn't go. It just went unreported. That happens even to this day. Again, So
Right. Well, there's a difference between like ripping off someone's clothes and groping them and then holding them down, having an erect penis, getting the erect. You know what I mean? Like that's a bit involved. Like, I don't know how.
well, yeah, but during those times when the clothes were he didn't just like rip off clothes and run. He got chased off by other
Yeah.
people. So he was stopped. I mean, that doesn't mean that the next step wouldn't have been that. We don't know. I've never talked to the guy. I don't know. They did beat him off, so I mean, obviously there's something to it. I don't know. But anyway, honestly, that's my opinion on it. That's what I think he was doing. I think he was only attacking women.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, so at least as far as we know, all the reports have been women. None of the guys have ever come out and be like, "Oh yeah, Spring Hill Jack attacked me." You had mentioned an individual, and that's where like the fire breathing came from too. So like the two women that reported that he breathed fire claimed that he blew the fire in their faces. I guess they weren't burned severely, and then they had like seizures. They had like a weird reaction to it. But when you're being physically assaulted, things happen very fast.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that one of the people accused, they had said that he potentially like made spring-heeled shoes and then like was a fire breather, which is something that humans can do.
Yeah. I mean, Gene Simmons does it all the time.
Right.
Yeah. The Marquess of Waterford, they thought that he had he had an associate that was a blacksmith that they thought could do that if they wanted to.
Why?
Well, I mean, think about it. It was why did he do it?
Why
'Cause
spring-heeled shoes? Why?
let's see.
You're trying to Google it. I
No,
mean,
I'm looking
Just what would I mean, you're going to be like, "Oh, I'm going to put on this tight ass outfit, this cape and how about this helmet thing? Also, I'm going to have springs in my shoes."
Well, the springs in the shoes, some I had read somewhere, and it's not here, but that from what people if what people were describing was actually happening, there was no hyperbole or exaggeration involved. If he was leaping to the heights that they claimed that he was, that it would almost have to be supernatural in explanation because no people would break their ankles doing that shit.
Right.
Right? So, like, then, okay, starting from there, you got to backpedal a little bit and say, okay, well, then how exaggerated was it?
Sure.
What did this guy just hop down from? Maybe we was like hiding on top of a garage and he hopped down and then ripped someone's shirt off and fucking squeezed the titty and then ran off into the night cackling like a madman. And the story then turns into, oh, he fucking swooped down and I mean, like, I'm not saying there wasn't a fair amount of acrobatics involved, but it doesn't have to require people that literally with bouncing shoes. Because that would be, I mean, think about it. Like, that would be more, that would lower your dexterity than increase it. Like, you would have a harder time getting away if you had springs in your heels. Like, you're not like bouncing like you're thinking of like a video game character or a cartoon character. It would be too erratic. And what if you tried to run down a cobblestone street? You know what I mean? Like, I don't. I maybe debate how much he really was like flying through the air and stuff. Maybe he
Sure.
would jump. Maybe he would jump down from something up high and then hop a fence and get out of there. But as far as him bouncing, like,
Like he was just quick-footed.
yeah,
He's like
you
a
know,
parkour person.
parkour, yeah,
Yeah. I could be. Well, so that I mean that was again, that was the first half and then there was like a lull and then he came back and then this new Spring Heel Jack again, his whole deal wasn't ripping off women's clothes. It was pretty much mostly attacking carriages. So it's just running out in front of people's cars.
yeah.
That's what he was doing. As far as we know, he hadn't killed anybody. There are deaths attributed to him from the carriage crashes, but you know, we talked about it yesterday. Tell the story about the log paddle with the train. Dumb kids do dumb things like jumping out in front of cars.
I don't have to tell that one again. That's gonna be in the just between me and you.
You don't want anybody to know that you
No, that was I shouldn't have said that. Sometimes I tell anecdotes and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm admitting to felonies.
tell it on yourself. Paddle derailed a whole train one time. It
No,
caught on fire.
not a whole train.
It was a good story, but
Sometimes kids do stupid shit. Sometimes
kids
kids
do
pile
stupid
up
shit.
garbage on train tracks just to see what happens when the train hits the pile of garbage. We'll just leave it at that.
Right. Yes, kids do dumb shit. We threw rocks at cars one time, and then somebody they actually
Oh
pulled.
yeah.
They stopped and they were pissed.
Did they chase you? Did you run?
They were gonna beat our ass. Yeah, we did. We
Yeah.
ran. We told our parents. We're like, this woman. We don't know why. She said she was gonna beat our asses, and then our parents were all mad because I lived in the ghetto. I had ghetto ass parents, and they're like, "What? Who? I'll kick their asses." It was stupid, but it was our fault. But we didn't say that part.
Oh, we used to throw snowballs at cars all the dude.
I
That
wish they'd have
was
thrown fucking rocks, big ass rocks at people's cars.
fucking you're a badass little Dayton kid.
But we were. I was a bad kid, and so yeah, I could see kids going, "Oh my god, let's dress up like Spring Hill Jack and jump out of these fucking carriages."
Yeah.
That's very believable. And then as far as like the military anecdotes go, um, we can't verify that story. Like we can't verify that the military shot at this man and nothing happened. I mean, it's not like it's fucking tucked away in England's fucking defense record anywhere.
Well,
Like,
also remember that's also like a good explanation for like, did you miss it? No, I didn't miss it. I hit it and then nothing happened.
right.
Or you missed it.
Or
You know,
yeah.
you had a janky ass fucking, like like a musket that you missed with because you were scared and I don't know.
Well, like the Van Meter visitor, okay, the entire town went to where that thing, the mine shaft where that thing was hanging out at, waited until it crawled out and opened fire on that bitch, and it did nothing. It
Mhm.
walked away. I believe that happened. I believe that that entire town of Van Meter, Iowa, unloaded on that thing and nothing happened. I don't believe the he said, she said that the military unloaded on this guy. We have no names. There's no dates. There's no anything, and then nothing happened. There's no information to verify. The people that were there didn't come forward, and they're not named. We don't know who they were. I just
Mm.
think that was a tall tale, just kind of added to it to add to the mystery.
The Spring Heeled stuff, or with them shooting and getting away.
Yeah, that in particular, yeah. The military shooting at him, and he just left. He laughed about it and went beating off into the night. I think that was not real. Yes,
See, guys get crazy when they get cum-brained.
that's
If
true.
you know what I mean, they'll start thinking anything's a good idea. Like, I'm gonna dress up like this and fucking run out.
Maybe he thought that was. I mean, maybe that got him off more. The fact that he was being shot at by the military.
Ugh.
It's dangerous. And he just beat his shit and continued on. Okay, so for the second time now, the show has been interrupted, and it's clearly because of Giants. So, or Spring Hill Jack. I don't know. Pato, what do you think's going on there?
I don't know. I just want to land this ship right now.
Pat's freaking out. Hey, if anything, we got a whole episode that's just an intro. And if I just have to do some voiceover work and just clarify what has happened here twice now, we have the evidence that this has, for some reason, we are not meant to record this episode this week. I don't know why. My verdict on Spring Hill Jack, all high strangeness aside, is that he wasn't probably anything supernatural. He's just some guys. Pato, what's your final verdict on
I
it?
agree. I think it's a mixture of drunken pranksters and copycat killers, not killers, but copycats, and then mass hysteria thrown in. And I think that's where all the best urban legends come from.
Sure. At minimum, it's a good story. It makes for a good story, and apparently it makes the government unhappy when we talk about it. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and just cut it there. See you guys back here next Wednesday.